John Scott, I imagine there hasn't been anybody more interested in the conduct of the 19th Commonwealth Games here in Delhi than those preparing to stage the 20th.
I think that's a fair comment, absolutely. We've had a good team out here from across the partners, obviously the Organising Committee, but you'll know from your fabulous experience in Melbourne that it isn't just an OC that delivers the Games, it's all the partners pulling together. And I think that is at the heart of what we are planning to do in Glasgow, is make sure that the Scottish Government, Glasgow City Council, Commonwealth Games Scotland, ourselves, are as one in delivering an outstanding Games.
Now, for all their enthusiasm, all their generosity and all their goodwill, the Indians have come up short in a number of very key areas. So what has Glasgow learned from the mistakes of Delhi?
You know, a number of people ask me, should the Games have come to India? I absolutely believe the Games should have come to India. It's the biggest country in the Commonwealth. It's the second biggest country on the planet. This is something that they have every right to do, and I think in terms of broadening sport, they have every need to do. India hasn't had a huge sporting heritage in a number of the sports that we see here on the Games programme, but my God, they've made incredible progress. I think it's been great to see Indians embracing new sports. That's one of the great legacies they'll have. They've also been very honest about their lack of experience in Games delivery. Mr. Kalmardi, the chairman of the Organising Committee, made it very clear they haven't staged a big multi-sport Games since 1982. There were a lot of lessons to learn. We learn lessons from every Games, and we will be applying them.
Commonwealth Games Federation President Mike Fennell has talked about the possible residual damage to the Commonwealth Games brand by what's happened here in India.
I think that, building a brand takes a number of Games, and the Games that Melbourne staged were, in my view, the best ever to date. I mean, they were a truly great Games. I was there, I loved it. So the brand was in a good condition. India's done it in a different way. And, what does it mean by the brand? The brand means about, nations participating. India is a sleeping giant. If we can get India in these sorts of sports, the quality of the programme there will be on offer will be enhanced as well. And I think that's something we mustn't lose sight of, because this is a Games about sport. And whilst there were a huge number of challenges in the run-up to the Games, once the sport got underway, I think we saw a gradual shift in attitude, because it came back to what this is about, letting the athletes do what they are best at, which is performing.
Well, let's talk about athletes. A lot of the elite performers chose not to come.
Yeah, and that was really sad, and I think many of them may well regret that in hindsight, those that made a personal choice not to come. Some, of course, were either injured or had challenges in terms of their schedule. I mean, the international sporting calendar is very, very crowded. Now, India hosting the Games in October meant it was running up against a number of other very big events that many of these athletes needed to be at. We've worked very hard and are more fortunate in staging our Games in July not to have so many calendar conflicts. And we are really reaching out to engaging with the international sporting federations, many of whom have yet to set their calendar for 2014, to make sure that our time slot is protected.
I know you're not coming from a standing start, but you do only have 4 years. How prepared is Glasgow to be ready by July 2014?
Well, firstly, it's not 4 years. It's less than 4 years. We're in July, so we've got that slightly less. We're in a very good place. I think the thing to remember with Glasgow is that we had 70% of our venues in place at the time of the bid. The buildings we have to put in place, we are very well on schedule. All the major capital infrastructure for the sport will be delivered by 2012. So we will have a window to prepare. We've already got some major championships coming in 2013. For example, the World Track Cycling is coming in 2013. So the Velodrome, we'll have an opportunity to test that and be absolutely Games ready for 2014.
It's an enormous opportunity, as we've seen, for India to showcase itself in a broader sense. What sort of image will the Glasgow Games project of the modern-day Scotland?
Well, I think you're going to see a different Glasgow. You might be able to judge from my accent that I'm not actually from Scotland. I'm an Englishman. And I've come to Glasgow and I have fallen in love with a city that I think has so much to offer. It is a truly amazing city. Firstly, it's going to be a very compact games. You know, the athletes are going to have the opportunity to get to the venues, to get to the training venues in a very, very short space of time. The village is right alongside the opening ceremony, which is in Celtic Park football ground. We've got the velodrome there, the National Indoor Sports Arena there. So the sport offering will be brilliant. But Glasgow has also got some amazing culture. I don't think many people realise, but Glasgow is one of only 8 UNESCO cities of music. You know, it's a fabulous centre for music. So that mix, sport, culture, all of that will be on offer in 2014.
And I imagine it's a terrific opportunity for the Scottish diaspora to have a fresh look at somewhere like Glasgow and go home for the games.
Absolutely. I mean, the Scots are great sport goers. You know, the Tartan Army is well known around the world. And I think what you'll see tonight in the handover ceremony is all that emotion, all that fun, all that style that is Scotland, combined with a modern take. And that's what we will be presenting, and that's when the invite will come. Come to Glasgow.